Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew DeAngelo, and I'm really happy to be with all of you today on this program. Many of you probably are more familiar with my older brother, Steve DeAngelo, but Steve and I have been doing the cannabis mission together since we were teenagers. And I have recently left Harborside. Steve is chairman emeritus of Harborside, a vertically integrated cannabis company here in California. We're best known for our dispensary in Oakland, but we also have a big farm and manufacturing brand called Key Cannabis. And now I've focused my efforts on several new projects. First thing that I think all of us need to work on in the cannabis industry is making sure that we take care of social justice. Our entire movement, the reason cannabis was made illegal in the first place, had nothing to do with the merits of the plant itself and everything to do with the people that were using the plant and had the plant in their lives, mainly Black and brown people, immigrants from Mexico, jazz musicians, and African Americans from the South that brought the plant up north, most famously landing in Harlem during the Harlem Renaissance. So our roots come from a lack of social justice. That's how all of this prohibition and imprisonment happened in the first place. So I started a nonprofit organization with Steve and with some other folks recently about, 2 years ago now. Officially a year ago, we got our 501c3 status. And that group is called the Last Prisoner Project. You can learn all about the Last Prisoner Project at our website, lastprisonerproject.org. And what we do, our mission is to get everyone who's been convicted of a cannabis crime, who's sitting in a jail cell right now, we want to get them out of prison and home to their families and loved ones so that they can continue their lives. The original sin was locking people up for cannabis. Our original remedy must be to empty the prisons. So that's what Last Prisoner Project does. It is an urgent mission. Right now we have legalization spreading across the country, spreading across the world. We have people making millions and millions of dollars doing the same exact thing that our prisoners are serving time for. And in fact, most of the folks that are in the legal industry, like me and like Harborside, are trading vastly large amounts of cannabis, vastly larger amounts of cannabis than our prisoners that are in prison right now for that same plant. So we have a lot of work to do. 40,000 prisoners in the United States, probably millions across the world. I expect to be working on this until my old age. And I invite you all to join me. If you're in the cannabis industry, we have several programs that allow your company to participate and to help us raise money to get people out of prison. So if you're a dispensary, we have a special program for dispensaries and retailers. We have a special program for cultivators and manufacturers. And even if you're just running a law firm or accounting firm or a packaging company for cannabis, there are ways for you to use the revenue that you're generating from cannabis and give a little bit of that revenue to Last Prisoner Project and other groups that are doing the same work. We're not the only group doing this work. There's a lot of groups doing this work. Google is your friend. Please Google social justice in cannabis, and you'll find many, many nonprofit groups that are working on this, like Cage Free Cannabis, the Veterans Alliance, the Social Equity Group, many others, not just Last Prisoner Project. It takes a village to do this work. So if you don't want to plug into LPB, plug into one of the other groups. And we make it really easy for companies to participate. You don't have to give us a lot of money up front. We take the money as the products are sold. And we've been able to raise quite a bit of money this way, and we've been able to get people out of prison. The person that I'm most proud of is a man named Richard DeLisi. We expect to spring him next month in time for Christmas. He's the longest serving nonviolent cannabis prisoner in the United States. I think he is on his 36th year in prison, I think it was. He was locked up in 1989, the year I graduated college. And can you imagine? I'm 53 years old now, and I've been out of college for a long time, right? And all the things I've done since I graduated college, Richard DeLisi didn't get to do because he was locked up in a prison in Florida. So we're going to get him out, and we have gotten him out, and all of you have gotten him out, and all the people that have helped Last Prisoner Project have gotten him out, and all the other groups that are working on this helped to get him out. So we have momentum, and there is hope in this work. There is hope. And if you're frustrated by legalization and the frameworks and the lack of profitability and just the transactional nature and the corporatization of cannabis, and it's just driving you mad, well, social justice is an area that maybe won't drive you so mad, that will allow you to actually get something useful done. So please plug into the Last Prisoner Project and other groups doing this work. It is the most important thing I'm doing right now in cannabis. The other things that I'm working on right now in cannabis, I have two other post-Harborside buckets that I've developed for myself. The next one I want to tell you about is creativity. So one of the things I'm encountering as we try to legalize cannabis and integrate it into society is a lot of stigma and NIMBYism, not in my backyard. Nobody wants a dispensary in their neighborhood now. And most of the legal frameworks in most of the states, New Jersey's going to probably adapt this too, give local control and the power to local people to ban dispensaries. And what happens is the local people ban because they don't know how to license, they don't know how to regulate, or they have a very vocal minority in their community that's too scared of cannabis and is against it. And so they ban it. And it's prohibition by ban. Well, that doesn't work for any of us. And it's happening all over the place. Most of California is banned. Most of Illinois is banned. Michigan, banned. So what good is legalizing weed if at the local level all we have is bans and it's prohibition by ban? And then whenever there's not a ban, the taxes are so high that the poor consumer doesn't know what to do. So the way that we're going to reverse those local bans, the way that we're going to create better frameworks for legalization so that poor consumer can feel good about coming into dispensaries and buying weed at a price they can actually afford, is by telling stories and lowering the stigma. So every time we tell a story about a child with epilepsy that gets healed by cannabis, there's a soccer mom in a community somewhere that was against cannabis before they saw that story, but now they're for cannabis. And so as we tell these stories about kids getting healed, our seniors getting healed, our family members benefiting from cannabis, even our economies benefiting from cannabis, and not just tax dollars being raised, but people being employed, not just the bare minimum wage job, no, a little bit better job. The average wage in cannabis is, I think, 20-30% higher than minimum wage. We tend to have better benefits in the cannabis industry than most other industries. Isn't that funny? An industry that's brand new, that's under distress, that's barely alive, can give better benefits than Fortune 500 companies to the employees. Imagine that. I wonder, is there a scam going on? If we can do it, anybody can do it. So we have to tell our stories. And all of you that are storytellers, and all of you that are media professionals, and all of you that are marketing people, try to tell stories about cannabis that will lower the stigma, that will enable people in local communities that may have no relationship to cannabis whatsoever, but we need their support. because if we don't have their support, they're going to vote to ban us when these frameworks roll out for legalization. So I spend a lot of time on storytelling. I write a column for Playboy.com called Dope Tutor. I have another column called Weed Warrior. I also have a film called CBD Nation that just dropped the last couple months that is available on pay-per-view video. And I have another independent film called Freeland, which is a narrative film, independent film. It's touring all the independent film festivals right now, and this is about a grower in Humboldt who gets disrupted by legalization, and her life gets turned upside down, and she has to learn a new way of surviving in the world, and it's very hard for her. So that's out there in the independent film circuit now. And I have also applied to be a speaker at the South by Southwest Festival. I have a talk called The Stoners and the Suits, building a bridge between activism and capitalism. This is something I need your help with, so I hope you'll go to the South by Southwest website and become a panel picker. It's easy. You just register for free on the website. You become a panel picker, and you can vote for my talk on the cannabis track at South by Southwest this year. If the Stoners and the Suits don't get together and build bridges and work together, we're going to fight a war with each other, and that war is going to lead to nothing but mutually assured destruction, and that's not good for anybody. So we have common adversaries, the Stoners and the Suits. It's hard to believe that with being at each other's throats the way we have been, but we actually have a common enemy: stupid politicians and bad public policy. And if we unite, we can defeat that common enemy and create more legalization across the country and create much better frameworks so that we can have one legal market, not one legal market and then this other giant illicit market or legacy market, whatever you want to call it, that we then have to launch Prohibition 2.0 against. Nobody wants to do that. So that's what my talk's all about. It's about building those bridges, because I've been both a stoner and a suit. Started smoking weed when I was 15 years old, and when we opened Harborside in 2006, I had to start wearing suits and meeting with government officials and elected officials and community members and soccer moms and community groups and all kinds of people. And by wearing a suit, I was able to build trust with these more straight mainstream communities than I could have ever done if I had just shown up in my usual tie-dye and Birkenstocks. So it taught me a lot about what it's like to live in the shoes of a suit and what I learned. It's funny, all the suits I was meeting with as we were transforming California into the global leader of cannabis right now, even with the screwed up framework, we're still the global leader of cannabis. As I was meeting with all the suits and we were doing that, they would pull me aside and they'd say, Andrew, I gotta tell you, I was for legalization a long time ago. I was for legalization. I always thought this drug war was baloney. Or they'll pull me aside and they'll say, Andrew, you know, I've secretly been smoking weed for 30 years. I just couldn't tell anybody about it because I was a lawyer, or I was an accountant, or I had to wear a suit every day. Or Andrew, I had to stop smoking weed because I was getting drug tested. I had to wear the suit every day. I had to take a drug test. I was a cop. I was a prosecutor. I don't think weed should be illegal. And they would tell me these secrets. And I would learn that these folks that wore suits, they wanted to be more like stoners. They wanted to have more meaning in their lives. They wanted to feel better about their work. They didn't want to do something evil and wrong all the time. They knew that some of the stuff they were engaged in wasn't right, and they wanted to feel better about their lives. And so in this way, the suits were a little bit more like the stoners. And stoners, you know, what do we want? We want to be accepted by society. We want our ideas to have respect, as long as they're good ideas. And you know, we want to be part of the mainstream conversation. We want to be able to contribute to making the changes in society that we clearly all need. to save our country and to save humanity on this planet. So please vote for my South by Southwest panel. That's what it's all about. And lastly, all of you out there in the world, the way I pay for social justice and the way I pay for creativity is with my work as a strategic advisor and consultant. So I do this as an individual basis. My main mission as a strategic advisor and consultant is to bring marginalized communities into the industry. Legacy folks like me, Black and brown people, social equity folks. Those are the ones I want to help the most. But we also need to bring in Fortune 500 companies and people who wear suits every day to work. And in that capacity, I've partnered with a company called Global Go Consulting. Global Go Consulting. Our executive chairman is a gentleman by the name of Paul Rosen. He is one of the pioneers of the Canadian cannabis industry. And Global Go enables bigger companies that have more complex needs, or even smaller companies that need things like licensing and compliance and legal documents and contracts drawn up. I rely on Global Go and that team to do some of that work. And I work as a consultant for Global Go, and I refer a lot of clients to Global Go. So, and then all of you out there who want to build something more sustainable, I also have a relationship with a group called Regenibus. Regenibus is a new organization that is designed to bring sustainability to cannabis, and we help companies get more sustainable with their supply chains. So, and we also help Fortune 500 companies enter the cannabis space in a sustainable way. So that's how I built the consulting ecosystem around me. And I just invite all of your listeners to reach out, andrewdeangelo.com, globalgo.consulting, regenibus.com. These are all great teams and organizations, and myself, and we always have our clients' best interests in mind. And it's a tough world out there in cannabis consulting. There's a lot of choices available to folks. And what I can tell everyone is, I've actually run a vertically integrated cannabis company. I woke up every day and I went into the campus and I operated the business for 13 years. All the managers, all the departments reported to me at one time or another. And the doing that day-to-day operational work of a big, complex, vertically integrated cannabis company gave me insights and experiences most consultants don't have. And I also made a few mistakes along the way that I can help folks avoid. So that's what I'm doing these days in my post-Harborside life. And I encourage everybody out there who's in cannabis or outside cannabis to carve a space in your life out for social justice, because I think that in the next 5 or 10 years, if you're an American, it's really important that all of us work on this issue, because we have to weave the fabric of our country back together, and that's going to take a lot of work and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of effort. So whether it be with Last Prisoner Project, or whether it be in your own organization or in your own way, please carve out some of your bandwidth for social justice. It feels really good to work on, and I promise you that it will lift your life and happiness up to work on this issue. It's hard and sometimes it's frustrating, but to give back and to help some of these communities participate more fully in American life is a moral obligation that we all have. So embrace it. And if you need any help getting started, please reach out to me. I'm super easy to get a hold of. My website, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, super easy to find. So reach out. I'd love to learn about what your vision is and help you make it happen.